What's up, guys? Today we're going to go over how to make a 7x7 door. So the door works by pressing a button either on the inside or the outside. I've already pressed a button on the outside, so I can go inside, and then I can press the button there, and it will close the door. And then we can press the button again, and it will open, and then we can, of course, go to the outside, and it should hopefully close the door. So for the sizing requirements, I'm just going to set it to day so we can see a little bit easier. You're going to need 7 blocks for the door itself. And then on either side, you're going to need 13 blocks. So on the right and 13 blocks on the left. That's all this pale wood stuff. So it's 7 plus 13 plus 13 for the other side. It's pretty chunky. You're going to need 5 blocks in between the outer wall and the inner wall. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's 7 blocks if you include the walls themselves. Luckily, the redstone goes up to the exact same height as the door itself. So like, here's your gold blocks that are opening. All of the stuff only goes up to it. So that's the same as the door itself. You will need to have obsidian if you want to put a ceiling, either obsidian or some other non-stick block, such as a furnace or something. If you want to put the ceiling right up against it, just because you don't want things sticking to this top flying machine or to the door. So be aware of that. If you do it 1 block higher than the door, you'll be completely safe. You're also going to need a couple blocks below the door itself. So like the ground that you walk on is this block. You are going to need to carve into that block plus 1 more in order to do some of the stuff down here. You shouldn't have to go any further than 2 blocks though. So for the materials, I'm sorry, it's going to be a little bit expensive. Flying machines are not the cheapest thing to make ever. So you're going to need 14 lamps and 14 normal pistons. These are to be able to send the flying machines either to close it or to open it. And these ones are right here. You're going to need 42 observers and 42 sticky pistons because we have 3 for each flying machine and there's 7 times 2, so 14. So 3 times 14, I hope, is 42. You're going to need also 2 buttons, one for the inside and the outside of the door. We don't need these, actually. Ignore those. For the slime blocks and honey blocks, it's a little hard to count because it's asymmetric. There's not the same number of one and the other. So I counted my slime blocks, which I should be using the most amount of. I mean, I counted 66. Like it's 4 times 4, and then 4 times 4, and then 4 times 4 again. But then I have these ones, which aren't the same. And then I have these 3 ones. So I counted 66, and you shouldn't need as many honey blocks as you have slime blocks or vice versa. But just be aware that these might have a little slightly different numbers, but you'll need at least in this range. So sorry about that. It's kind of expensive. Then you're also going to need about 2 stacks, slightly less, but about 2 stacks of some non-stick block. I like to use obsidian because it's easy to distinguish from other things. But you can also use furnaces or droppers or something like that. And that's really just to make sure that we can put something in the way of the flying machines to be able to stop them where we want to. So we need this column, and this column to be able to stop the flying machines where we need to. And then we can also have some on the ground here to be able to make sure they don't stick to anything. I also have about 30 to 31 glass. It kind of depends on how you build the stuff under the place. I would say it's 30 glass in this exact demonstration, but it just depends on how you do it. Maybe you have more if you don't have silk touch, just in case something gets misplaced. You also need some block to build the door out of. I used gold for the middle. I have pale blocks all around for the walls. You also need some amount of redstone dust and redstone repeaters. You shouldn't need too many repeaters, but you'll need some. But it really depends on how you hook it up. So I would say 20 maybe. And then probably a stack or maybe 2 of redstone dust. There's really not that much, but it always ends up being way more than I expect it to be. But I didn't bother counting it just because it will probably be different for everyone's base. All right, so to start out, I've placed the 7x7 blocks that will be used for the door itself, as well as the kind of walls that we have that are 13 blocks long on either side. There's also 5 blocks in between them as well. And this is just so that we have kind of a reference to use. So I'm going to use this as the exterior of the door. It's the exterior of the base rather. And this will be the interior. So the first thing that we need to do is just kind of place the slime and honey blocks just so that we have them. So I'm going to place my non-stick block, which in this case is obsidian, under the door, just so that we don't have to break the floor later. And then I'm going to choose a side where there's going to be 4 blocks, and then those 4 blocks will go to one side, and then the other 3 will go to the other side. I'm going to use the left side as the one with 4, but it won't really change the design at all if you want to do it the other way. I'll point out the differences when we get to it. So we're going to need to stagger them. So the one is going to be 4 and it'll be made with 1 sticky block, and the other one will have to be made with the other one. And that's just so that there's not too many blocks that the pistons are trying to push. And then we're going to stagger the ones under it. And then we kind of do this like sort of zigzag on both sides so that we can kind of get it to make sure that nothing is sticking to each other and no flying machines are trying to push too many blocks. So it's going to look something like this when all said and done. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is put the obsidian blocks, just so that, or the non-stick blocks of some sort, kind of across the floor, so we just have it and we don't have to deal with anything sticking. So the first thing that I need to do is do 2 blocks next to these slime and honey blocks, because this is just going to slide over. The flying machines are going to sit here, so now we have to start putting more. So in addition to these 2, we're going to put another 2 right here. And then we're going to also put another 3 right here in this position. You have, the flying machines are going to have like slime blocks here and then honey blocks here, right? So those are going to need to not stick there. And the flying machines move on the side with 4 blocks. They're going to slide by 4 blocks over. So we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just so that we have the spacing there. I believe that is correct, and I really hope that's correct, because I actually have no idea. I've never done this way before. On the other side, we're going to do the same thing, but with 3 blocks. So the same thing as with 2, and then you have this kind of design with the 4 blocks there, and then you have this little thingy. Right. That should be symmetric, yeah. And now we're going to go over my 3 blocks. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. You can go over an extra block. It's not going to do anything. But if you just like want it to be symmetric or something, like the look of it or something, nothing's going to hurt it by doing that. So now that we have these, we can make the flying machines. I have to consult my phone pictures. Okay, so the flying machine is going to look something like this. Actually, what I'm going to do is put the pillars that we need to have the flying machine stop, so that when we make them, we don't actually send them into the oblivion. So one pillar is going to be right here. So like diagonal from the corner of that. We're going to go up to the same height as the door, so by 7 blocks. Likewise, on the other side, we're going to put them here as well. We'll do the other pillars here in a minute. So now the actual flying machine. These are kind of a giant pain to make, so I'm sorry for that. I recommend placing some sort of temp block on this corner block right here. And this will just make the observers a lot easier to place. So for the observers, we place observers facing right here, and they face into the grass blocks that I just placed. And we're going to do them on this corner as well. And then we can get rid of the grass blocks. Doing this triggers the observers, so it's just good to get that out of the way before you attach anything to it. Otherwise, it gets super annoying. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is put pistons, sticky pistons facing into the door. And we're going to do it up all the way so that you have the observers facing into the pistons and the sticky pistons facing into the door. Now we're going to have to do a staggered honey slime block thing again. So I did slime because I find it easier to get slime than honey. So slime on the first one, and then honey second one. And you do slime, honey, slime, honey, and then slime again. Okay. So we should have something that looks so similar to this. Now what we need to do is place sticky pistons facing this way on these hoppers. Sorry, not hoppers, these observers. And yeah, these observers will then just trigger these sticky pistons. This one triggers these ones, and this is just to pull the door, but these are actually not even part of the flying machine's movement at all. It's just to pull the door at the same time. Completely irrelevant to the build. is what I just said. So now what we need to do is put honey blocks or slime blocks. They need to be opposite from these ones right here. So these are slime, so I need to go honey now. And that's just because if we did this, the flying machine would just get gridlocked. So it's going to be in this pattern. So we put one in the corner on the sticky blocks, the sticky pistons, and then we kind of do this little L shape. Then we're going to stagger them again. And they should be opposite from these ones as well. So we have something that looks like that. So now we're going to place another temporary block here so that we can, again, place some observers. Did I build this wrong? I did. I'm sorry. I'm totally sorry. It should be on this one, the middle block. Sorry for that. Okay. Yeah, it'll look like that. Now we're going to have the temporary blocks here. And we're going to face the observers into those blocks so that the redstone thing is facing this way. And the reason I place the temp blocks is because the way they orient themselves, you have to click on that or next to it to face it that way. Get rid of them before we place any more pistons. And then we place these pistons facing this way into this section of the flying machine. So this is just 7 flying machines stacked on top of each other. And the way it works real quick is essentially what you'll do is you'll activate this one first. It'll push this whole section over by a block. This observer triggers and it will have this one extend and it will pull this section over, this whole thing over by block. At the same time that we trigger this one though, we also trigger this one. So it pulls the door in by block. When this whole thing gets pulled over, it will trigger this one to then pull the door another block, as well as triggering this one to push this side over to the left. This will happen up until we reach the barrier that we're about to build. So we need to build an obsidian barrier just like we did over here so that it can stop in the right spot. And that is just at the end of this middle obsidian part. So it'll be on the one that we didn't do, and it'll just be right here. And it'll go up by 7 blocks. So there should be on the side that has 4 sticky blocks here. There should be 4 blocks in between the flying machines and this pillar. Likewise, on this side, there will be 3. We haven't built the flying machines, but it will just be at the end of this thing. I think I did. I'm not doing so hot right now. I think I did this wrong. I will build the flying machine and I'll fix it and then we'll figure it out. I think I did because it should be in the middle one over, but I have it backwards. So I think it is like this. Because it should be 2 blocks there and 1 block there. And we have 2 blocks there and 1 block there. Sorry about that. I understand obsidian's really hard to place in survival, so I'm sorry you have to pull something up. My bad. You can ridicule me in the comments if you had to do that. Okay, so now we're going to do the flying machines on the other side just to get it out of the way. So it's going to be the same thing, but I'll show it again just because it's a lot of stuff. So temporary blocks kind of in the diagonally off of that. And we're going to place observers facing into it on this side and observers facing into it on this side. And make sure they're all facing the right direction. It's really annoying if one is not right and then the whole thing, you have to rebuild the whole thing just because it broke. We can get rid of these now. Next, what we'll do is we will place the sticky pistons facing into the door. Come on. All right. And then again, we're going to do the slime and honey blocks, and we're going to have to stagger them. It doesn't matter which one you start on. The one that you start on, which will be on the top and the bottom, you'll just end up using a little bit more of. So if you're short something, then use the other one. Okay. So on this side, we're going to place the pistons facing this way. And then we use this one slime blocks. So we have to do honey, and it does an L shape, and the longer side is to the middle. I screwed it up on the other side. And then we're going to stagger them again. Okay. And then just consulting that side. So we're going to place more observers. So we're going to go diagonally from this block and place our temp blocks so that we can orient our observers correctly. So it's going to look like this. We get rid of these before we place the pistons or else things are going to break. And then we place the pistons facing away from the observers. So they should look the same on either end. It should just be mirrored. And then we have our obsidian pillar, and yeah, I totally screwed that up. I'm sorry. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then we do our pillar here. Yeah, and you should have something that looks like this. So there should be 3 blocks, and then this side doesn't need as many blocks because it's only these ones over here. Okay. So with this, we should be able to set up now the things that can like send the flying machines. I'm going to do the lamps first because the flying machines are in this position, and if we start messing with this and I screw it up, it will mess everything up. So I'm going to grab redstone lamps, and what we're going to do is put them next to this obsidian column where the observers are looking into. So it's just going to be right next to it, and it'll be on the same on both sides. So I'll do it on both sides. And what we're going to do then is use a glass pillar. And I forget if I don't think it matters, but I forget if I started. I think I started next to it on the bottom. Let me build it real fast before you do it to make sure that I have it right. Yeah, okay. So you'll start the bottom right next to it, and then you'll just go out one, and then in one, out one, in one, out one, in one. And the top one should be in one. And then we should be able to place redstone kind of here, and then just all the way up the thing. To just double check, because I'm paranoid, we should be able to hit a redstone torch, and it should light up all of them at the same time. If it doesn't do that, then there's something wrong. So they should all light up. Then we'll do the same thing on this side. So it'll be right next to it, and then off one, next to it, off one, next to it, off one. All right. And then redstone all the way down it. And just to double check again, it should turn them all on at the same time. Cool. Now what we want to do is put normal pistons facing into this little observer corner thingy. So they'll face like that. And then we're going to go up the 7 blocks as well. And I feel like I miscounted something. Nope, I did not miscount something. All right. For some reason, I remember this wall being 1 block off, but I guess I at some point figured out how to condense it. Right, okay. Consulting my image on my phone, we do the glass pillar again, and we start, next to it on the top or the bottom or whatever, and we kind of do the same thing here. This is going to require to go under this a little bit, so just be aware of that, but we can place the redstone now. All right, so now we should be able to test this. But before we can do that, we need to make sure we place 1 more obsidian column on both sides. So if your flying machine is still in this position, next to this set of pistons right here, we need to place 7 more obsidian on the part that the gold blocks are going to run into. If the flying machine's in a different spot, you'll have 4 blocks in between the door and the obsidian column. We have to do that on the other side as well. This one might actually be 3. So I think it's over a block. I'll test it to make sure that that's true. There should be 3 in between this one and then 4 in between this one on the side that has 4. I'll double check that one on that side. So the way to test this now is we can go to over here and we can just grab this redstone and make sure that this redstone is not facing a different direction. If you pull it off of this, it's going to then pull it there, and it's not going to power these bottom 2 pistons, and that's bad. So make sure you pull it from the very bottom, and then it can kind of go out. And all we have to do is just power it with a torch or something. So when we do that, we should see that these pistons extend. And we probably want to get rid of this just so we don't have to get rid of it and have it sent back again. What should happen is this column will stop the door, having 1 block in between these sticky pistons and the door. This should be flush with the redstone lamps, and then we should be able to then power the lamps, and it should go and close into position. This one stops the flying machines, and it should go back to where it was. To double check this side, I will do the glass columns again. I never finished this one. We need to do the same thing where we're almost missing the pistons. Cool. I completely got ahead of myself. Sorry. We have pistons here that go up and they face into this observer corner. And then we have a glass column that goes down, and we have redstone that goes up, just like we do on the other side. Whoops. Make sure your pistons are facing the right direction. Unlike mine. All right. So now we should be able to do the same thing. So we're going to be able to send this one, and it should stop hopefully in the right spot. So yeah, okay. So it's, yeah, make sure there's 3 blocks on that one. But between the door and this obsidian column, there should be, again, 1 block in between these sticky pistons and the door, and it should be flush with the redstone lamp. We get rid of this, and then we go and send the redstone lamps, and it should finish closing. Cool. So that's pretty much all you need for the door, but we don't have the buttons, and that can be surprisingly intricate to get under here and get into the right spots. So what we need to do is place buttons somewhere. In the demonstration, I built the buttons right here, where I have like 2 redstone on the ground, and then I have the button going right here. I kind of like that just because it's close to the door. It's not like way the heck out here. But it doesn't really matter where you put it as long as you can like somehow Tetris it under the stuff without interfering with the stuff. So the way I did this is I had the button that powers this redstone. I should be able to hit this without anything happening. Under this block right here, I actually have a redstone repeater that diagonally grabs the thing, and then I can put this block back. And then I have this block that has redstone dust. Now we have a few options to get it under there. What I did is I just got rid of this obsidian because I just like whatever. But if you want to keep it there, you can just go down this block and then do everything down here. It'll be annoying because you have to be able to stand under here to do things. And that can be obnoxious. But you do you. I'm going to get rid of these obsidian blocks just so that I have space to show what is going on. You will want the non-stick blocks there at some point if you want to fill in all of the blocks to not have like mob spawn or something like that. We don't need this here. And I got rid of the one under the glass, but we'll fix that here in a second. Okay, so this button goes to here. So we can make it go down. We're 2 blocks under the ground. Likewise, on the other side, I did the same thing where I have kind of 2 blocks out here, and then I have the button block that is right here. And then I have redstone dust. So it's like 1 block off of it on both sides. So on that side and on this side, it's like there's a block here, and then it's right here. If you're building it the same way that I'm doing it. Really, I just have to wire this. I have to wire the 2 buttons in such a way that they're connected and that they don't like run out of signal strength or something. Okay. So we have this. I'm going to then grab the signal from this one. This one's a little bit more tricky. So we can still put a repeater under this one. But what we need to do is place a redstone dust on this side so that this one is not facing directly into this block. Because I did that the first time. Like if you do it like this will power this block. And what will happen is they'll fire this piston too soon. And it will break your bottom 2 flying machines, which is really annoying. So we don't want that. So make sure that this is facing away from that block. There's no such issue on the other side because there's no pistons to be firing there. Okay, so we can just connect these. Make sure it's connected. We can just connect these 2 things together. There's nothing stopping us from doing that. And what we need to do then is just wire it to all of these glass columns. This is a kind of naive way to hook them up because what's going to happen is every time you press a button, it's going to fire these pistons as well as firing all of the redstone lamps. I don't find any reason to not do that because like they're never going to interfere with each other. It's either going to be open or closed. It's naive though, because I'm assuming there is a way to press the buttons while it's in the air to make it break, but I've never actually tried that. It's possible that it wouldn't break. And so maybe just try not to press the buttons like while it's in the air, but I also don't think it would break too bad. It would probably just like move a block where it shouldn't go. And then you have to press it again or something. But I've never had an issue with it. So I didn't make any fail safes. So in this case, we have redstone dust that is going to go to one side. And we're just going to go all the way to our glass column. And I think I have 2 repeaters here just to make sure that the signal strength reaches. You could probably get away with 1, but I want to have a repeater really close. In fact, I'm going to do it like right up against it. Just to make sure that the redstone signal reaches all the way to the top of the pillar. And then I have 1 somewhere in the middle here to make sure that it reaches from these buttons. Maybe I'll do it like here. All the way down to this one, and then it refreshes and goes all the way down here. Now we can hook this also up to this, these ones. The delay is not going to be the same if you open it, it's going to fire these ones sooner than it would fire the closing signal. So it might close a little bit slower than it would open. You can put a repeater right here or something. Sorry, not there. Sorry, I got completely thrown around. This is where the button's coming from. I thought that looked weird. Anyways, what I was saying is you can put a repeater to go into there if you want it to be consistent. But what we need to do is get the glass pillar down here. So what I did last time is I just put a glass thing right here. And then I just did like any redstone dust block that you put, opaque block, I mean. And we just kind of make it go up there. This signal should reach all the way up to the pillar, but just to be safe, I'm going to count it. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. We're cutting it close, but it can do 15 blocks. So we're cutting it close, but it should be good. And we can also, of course, test it. Okay, so next, we can go to the other side. So there's nothing particularly crazy about this. I just take this one, and I just kind of go to the other side. I'm going to be putting a couple of repeaters in between. So I put the buttons on the side that have 4 blocks. The ones at the side that the buttons are on are going to fire sooner. But because it's asymmetric, there's 4 blocks on one side and 3 blocks on the other side. Having the side with the shorter amount of blocks firing a little bit later is kind of okay because it kind of looks cool with it like staggering the 2 sides. So in that case, I think these repeaters would just kind of make it look all right. But it's really up to you how you make it do that. These ones are just to make sure the signal reaches. And I'll be more conservative with the number of repeaters I have. So I could probably do that there, and then we're just going to go all the way to the glass thingy, and we're going to put a repeater right there. We have to up like this, and I think we need another repeater somewhere in the middle here. I don't think that one is going to reach all the way over to that one. Okay. And then we also need to hook up to this glass section as well. So we can bring it down. And then we can I think we could just do this. I don't think there's anything stopping us from doing that. Other than maybe it not reaching the top. So I'm going to yet again, I'm going to pull this one back and I'm going to add another repeater right before this block. And that's just to make sure it reaches the top. Okay, I really hope this doesn't break, but I'm going to test it. Everything should be in position. Sometimes if you fire the flying machines from the wrong side, your door blocks are going to end up 1 block over. They're going to so your flying machine will be here, but then your door blocks are going to be starting in this little crevasse. If that happens, it's not going to work. Just fair warning. You're going to have to move your blocks back. And that's really annoying. I tried to make the video only test them in a way where they won't break. But if you test it by yourself and that happened, put your blocks back on the door as they are now before we test it again. Okay, so hopefully, I really hope that this will open the door completely. And we can kind of see that this side is a little bit slower, it kind of staggers the sides. And then it doesn't matter which button I press again, I should be able to press it again, and it should close the door. And it seems like I have an issue with this one not reaching this side. Interesting. And that is because there's no redstone there. Yep, that would do it. And I suppose we don't need this because it will go down. I think. No, it won't. I'm gonna put that there. Okay. Yeah, that would do it. I'm gonna try it again. It's not gonna affect this side because this one, actually, it will, sorry. If this happens, you can get rid of these pistons pretty safely and it shouldn't make any difference. This is probably the fastest way to kind of disable it to make sure that you don't break something. So I should be able to hit the button and it should fire this side back to where it goes. Yep. And then I'll put these back and I'm going to do another test just to make sure that everything runs smoothly both ways, both times. All right. So button 1, the outside one this time, it should pull all of them back. And then we go and we press the button on the inside and it should close the door to our liking. Cool. So that's pretty much all we need. I'm going to point out though that if you're going to be making a roof, if the roof is going to be immediately above your door, so if it's going to be right here, be very, very careful to not put to put sticky blocks or non-stick blocks above your slime and honey blocks. Make sure that if it's above here, make sure that it's like obsidian or furnaces or something on both these blocks, anything that they would touch, as well as anything that the flying machines one would have as well. Because that's probably the number one thing that catches me the most is I'll have a block that it sticks to. Like I'll make a roof like this, and then this one won't move, and then it'll break this one, which then breaks this one, and it's just a huge mess. So just be aware of that. Same thing with down here. We already put all the blocks that we needed. Non-stick wise, I got rid of a bunch of them down here to put all this stuff, but we can put them back. So it would look like this. If you put this one here, you're gonna have to like go around this one or something like that. I don't particularly care about having those ones here because they're between walls. But just make sure that you have the correct blocks in the right spots. Make sure that there's no blocks in between in this little crevice right here, because it would block the opening of the door. Likewise right here, make sure there's nothing there. And then make sure that you don't have anything like in the inside like that or something like that. Otherwise, you should be able to have any blocks that you'd like. Don't put anything in between here so that the pistons can work. But then you can put like, just whatever wooden planks like right here, for example, or on the floor right here. There's not really any other limitations other than that. Just keep in mind about your non-stick blocks. All right, guys, that'll be it for this video. I hope that everything was clear and that it was at least somewhat straightforward to follow, if not easy, because it's probably not easy. It's a pretty complicated build. If you have any issues, feel free to leave a comment or join the Discord, and I can help you debug that way. Discord's easy because you can send me screenshots and I can send you screenshots. No pressure to stay after you fix whatever you need to fix. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you next time.